We are continuing our discussion around weight with Dr. Kohli. She's joining us to discuss some new studies around weight loss and obesity. Thank you so much for being here. Clearly, you heard the previous. Okay, good. All right.
Yes, I tried to really channel my Dr. Kohli.
You did it really well.
Well, thank you. Let's get into it. Yeah. A new study shows that obesity can permanently change someone's brain. So even if they lost a significant amount of weight, what changes would it affect permanently in their brain?
Yeah, it's so interesting. We're learning, that obesity actually changes the wiring of our brain. Now, we don't know if it's the chicken or the egg, that we had a wrong wiring and that's what made us obese, or the fact that we are obese somehow damaged the wiring of our brain. But what we're learning is that it's not just bad behavior. It's actually the way that our brain responds to food that's different when we're obese. And even if we lose that weight, that abnormal wiring sort of sticks. So they took, 60 volunteers, 30 normal weight, 30 who were obese, and they fed them basically carbohydrates and fats through a feeding tube. And then they imaged their brain to see what centers lit up and whether or not they had dopamine, which is the reward chemical. And basically, the obese people did not have a feeling of fullness. Their brain did not respond in a way that allowed them to feel satiety.
Wow.
And they didn't get that reward center.
I'm curious if there's been a differential or a difference between people who are obese because it's behavior versus biological.
See, Erica, that's what we can't tell. But people who are obese have a food addiction. Now, is the food addiction being driven by the fact that their brain doesn't respond normally to food? Or is it that their brain didn't respond normally to food and that's why they're food addicted? So we don't know which one sort of came first, if they're eating too much because they need more to trigger that response, or if the brain is just, abnormally wired and they became obese and that is what affected it.
Wow. So, Doc, I'm curious about this new diet trend because I kind of do something like this, right? I have a shake in the early morning and I'll eat a big meal around 3 or 4 o'clock and I'm done for the day. So is eating one meal a day, is this a healthy trend?
If you think about our ancestors, Jeff, that's kind of what they did. It was feast or famine, right? You hunted and you gathered and you ate when you could and then you fasted when you couldn't. So there's really good philosophy behind this. My major sort of warning and concern about this is it can set you up for malnutrition. Because if you're only eating one meal a day and that meal is not perfectly balanced, then you could have vitamins and other nutrients that you could be deficient in. But if you're doing a good job of restricting your calories, making sure you're getting those vitamins and nutrients, like I'm sure you're trying to do.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take supplements as well, yeah.
Then I think it's a really good idea. It's a great way to restrict portion size. Because at the end of the day, one of the easiest, best ways to lose weight, put in fewer calories.
Right. Well, that leads me to my next question. I got to squeeze this in, Doc. I saw that this NFL player said that he lost 100 pounds by fasting for 40 days. I'm sure it worked, but is this safe?
Is that sustainable?
Yes. It was a water fast. It was incredible. So if you think about this actually comes from India, actually from Ayurveda medicine, Eastern medicine. That is the idea to rest your gut, to rid yourself of impurities and toxins, and to really, it's a spiritual journey as well. It's not just the caloric restriction, but you eat and drink nothing but water for a prolonged period of time. Now, Western medicine says no more than 24 hours to 3 days, but in India, they have yogis that go out into the jungle and do it for a month or for 6 weeks, and it's thought to be incredibly effective way to lose weight.
What happens after the fact, though?
You might gain it back.
Okay.
And doing it in a way that's safe, I think, is much harder said than done, because you can have electrolyte abnormalities, your sugar levels can go down, you can get malnourished, and then you think about all the cosmetic effects. You're losing hair because you've lost weight so quickly. You can lose fat too quickly, which means you break down muscle and bone. So in theory, it's good. It's a good way to reset, but taken to the extreme, I think I would caution.
Okay.
Good to know.
That's the only reason I'm not going to do it.
Dr. Kohli, thank you so much for providing all of this very informative information to our viewers. Check out Dr. Kohli's podcast, Heart of Medicine, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks again, Dr. Kohli.